Hi there, viewers, and welcome to another program of Political Scope. My name is Stacey Carmichael James, and today I'm joined with the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Norman Whitaker. It's a pleasure having you this afternoon, Minister.
And thanks. I'm happy to be part of the program.
Okay, today we will be discussing the contributions of local democratic organs to Guyana's development. Now, Minister, the first question on the topic would be, what is the role of the local democratic organs, that would be regional democratic councils, neighborhood democratic councils, constitutionally and otherwise, to development?
Well, Stacey, I would say that it is primarily to provide a forum, to provide an opportunity for residents at the local level and for the leaders of the local democratic organs at that level to participate meaningfully in decisions with respect to what happens in their communities, in their neighborhoods, in their towns, in their regions with regard to development focus. So true enough, you have a national focus and you're guided by that. But also, there's only so much that could be done at one time. So they help to determine what the priorities ought to be. So it's about involvement in decisions as to um, what the focus should be in terms of development at the local level.
Okay, thank you. And I could ask you, because you're the Minister of Local Government, how have these local organs contributed over the past few years, let's say 2013, 2014, more recently, to development locally?
Um, I would have to say that the performance has been mixed. For many of the local organs, the performance, with due regards to the resources they have available at their disposal, has been encouraging, and for others, there's definitely lots of room for improvement. Now, how do I measure this? I measure this in terms of the involvement of the council, the involvement of the people in, for example, the budget preparation. Because one will think that councillors of these various councils, whether they be regional democratic council, um, town council, or neighborhood democratic council, would be motivated to reach out in their several constituencies, in their respective constituencies, to garner the views, ideas, the priorities of the people, so that what you present to your council has the input of the people. I would say also that it is measured in terms of the projects you're able to implement, because it is one thing to put on several sheets of paper and present as a budget projects that you think ought to be done, projects that will satisfy the needs of people. But the other important thing is the implementation and the involvement of the people in the implementation of these projects. And so that is also another important consideration. And very important is how people pay their rates and taxes. That sends a message. In some NDCs, between 60, 70%, perhaps a little more, of the budgeted sums are actually received. In others, it's less than 50%. Naturally, that will put us at the Ministry of Local Government on inquiry. We'll want to know, in the first instance, is it poor budgeting? Perhaps the inflow of revenue was overstated, the anticipated inflow? Or is it that we did not perform well enough and the people felt that, well, I'm not going to pay because you didn't deliver? Or is it that we didn't make enough effort to reach out to the people, not only to receive money from them, receive their rates, but it is to use the opportunity to tell them about some of the projects that you have been doing, and of course that you want to do more if only you can have that additional revenue. So I would say that um, probably somewhere between 50 to 60% of the NDCs have performed creditably. The others, there is significant room for improvement. Even among the municipalities, I would say about two or three of them. In fact, three of them have done reasonably well, having regard to the yardsticks we use for measuring these performance. Some of them I just highlighted. So again, there's lots of room for improvement. And Stacey, there's another important area, another important factor. I am not satisfied that our local democratic organs have been reaching out to the people enough to provide information. And so people have an expectation at this level when the resources of these local democratic organs would only allow them to do so much. So people have an expectation in some NDCs that they should be building roads, and in fact, they are not so positioned. They don't have the financial, they don't have the human resource, the machinery to do that. What they do, or what they ought to be doing, is maintaining roads that, let's say, the Ministry of Public Works builds, or the Ministry of Housing under its roads improvement program does. That's what the local organs should be doing, maintaining these. Once they do that, then you wouldn't have down the line to do extensive rehabilitation works at tremendous cost. So some NDCs have been doing well. As I reach across the 10 regions, I've been able to discern them. But of course, human nature, they will never be satisfied. Okay? So what we try to do is to implement as many as the projects as your resources would allow you in a timely manner, good quality work. And the next step we need to do is to make people aware that that's how you get the impact, making people aware. The next road that is being rehabilitated, persons must not assume or wonder if it is public works, if it is the RDC, and then it's the NDC. You have to make people aware that you're doing some of these things, you know. And so those are some of the things I would want to raise at this point in our conversation.
Okay. Now, you mentioned just now, Minister, that the focus of the NDC should be maintenance. In cases where, because some persons would have been
That's
inquiring.
with respect to road works.
Yes, road works. There are some communities where people complain that, some of their streets, neighborhood, little streets and stuff, they have not been maintained, or they're in a bad state. In those cases, is there any measure implemented by your ministry to monitor what the NDCs do? Because in that case, like small streets within neighborhoods, I would think that the NDCs are responsible for that. And if they're not maintaining these streets properly, is there any kind of mechanism in place at the ministry level to deal with the NDCs?
Fine. Now, in the
complaints.
In the first instance, the NDCs have two areas where they source funds. Two main areas. One is the subvention or grants from government, and we expect that money to be used primarily for capital works. And then they do projects from their own resources, rates and taxes, market fees, etc. They are required, as I pointed out earlier, to reach out to the residents who are the beneficiaries to discuss projects. So you may go into a community and you find that 5 or 6 roads need to be done. But you know that you do not have or will not be able to garner enough resources to do all 5. So you involve the people to help you make that determination, make that decision which 2 of the 6 roads you will be positioned to do. my experience has been that once they are involved in that decision, they understand from the very inception the limitations of the NDC, even as they are better positioned to appreciate the NDC's willingness to do all the roads, for example, but they're limited by resources. So the point is, if you sit in an office and independently of the views of the people, decide which roads you're going to do and etc., you're going to run into problems. You have to be working with the people. The people must also be part of the monitoring of the works to be done. They must feel a sense of being part of it, owning it. And that helps in a large way. But even when you would have done all of that, there will be still significant works that are to be done. And this is where collaboration with the RDC comes in. We encourage that. We encourage the NDC to collaborate with the RDC and vice versa in this budget planning, preparation, implementation, because there have been instances, and we encourage this at the ministry, where the RDC says to the NDC, listen man, you do these roads here. We're going to help you with these. I saw it in Region 5 recently. I saw it in Region 4, right? The RDC that has more resources saying to the NDC, we will help you. And another reason for this collaboration we insist on is that you don't want at the end of it, because this happened when I first went to that ministry, I saw it happen, that the NDC budgets to do certain projects, mostly roads, and when you check, the RDC also has it in its budget. And so the NDC has now to seek a change of program, and they have to go out there again. So it's about involvement of the people. It's about collaboration with other local authorities, primarily here the RDC, in what you do. And that helps to make a difference. We have been encouraging that, and we continue to encourage that.
But is it mandatory for them to consult with each other on specific projects that they'll be undertaking?
With the NDC?
Yeah, is the collaboration between NDC and RDC, is it mandatory or it's just left?
For the budget, we insist it happens. For the simple reason, as I said, that you don't want duplication. And secondly, the RDCs are better positioned. You see, they have more human resources. They're better positioned to provide some guidance, and they have more assets in the form of machinery, etc. They have engineers, because when you're going to present as an NDC your budget for maintenance of a street or rehabbing of a bridge, you may not have the technical resource to cost that. And so this is where the RDC comes in. We ask them to assist so that the project can be properly costed and be reflected in the budget.
Okay, thank you. In terms of the focus of these organs for 2015, could you touch on that a little for us? I know that recently you had given a charge, I would say, to the NDCs and RDCs to focus in their budget preparation, focus more on the environment, aesthetics of the environment.
Yes, I did. It was not an instruction, as I told them. It was an expectation that having expended $1 billion to help to improve the aesthetics, sanitation across our 83,000 square miles, there is an expectation that the local authorities will help to maintain that. It's their duties and responsibilities anyhow. What government did was to support their effort and to bring the environment to a position from which we expect they will be able to maintain. There is a reason, Stacey, while we involve the beneficiaries, the people, in this cleanup exercise. Not only because it provided a source of employment, though temporary, and income for them, but because we felt that they will help to guide us in terms of the priority, and that's why we had consultations with them. And people said to us, "No, man, don't do. Let's work here. Let's work there." That's the kinds of guidance we got. And so we wanted them to feel a sense of ownership, an attachment to the cleanup exercise, feel a pride. I remember in All Boys Town when we started, going and seeing those young men in the gutters there. I knew because I had spent some of my early years in All Boys Town that those were concreted gutters, but many didn't know that. And they were so excited, jubilated at the thought that that's what is there. And if only they can maintain it. And the guys were like, "Man, we wouldn't like to see people come and be dumped in, because even though we are being paid, it's a lot of work and it's under conditions that are not too pleasant." So we involved the people. We were convinced, and what happened afterwards proved us correct, that more can be done in that way rather than giving out contracts. Right? So our contract was with the community and not individuals. And so all the work that was done, we thought that, look, we got to maintain this thing, or else the Guyanese people will say we wasted money. Many would say. And we call on the local organs to do that. They said to us, man, they needed some assistance, even notwithstanding what we did. And so coming out of a discussion with the Planning and Implementation Committee of the cleanup, we determined that we can help with brush cutters. So every NDC was given a brush cutter because we expect you to help you to do cleaning of the vegetation, etc. We determined we'll give them a tractor and trailer to move stuff, to move road materials, to do maintenance, to collect the stuff from the drains, etc. We determined also we will give excavators. We couldn't give an excavator to every NDC, so we give to some regions that didn't have. But with the understanding that there will be an MOU between NDC and the region with respect to its use. The NDC will prepare a program of the use, pass it to the RDC. And so there'll be that kind of collaboration to get work done. So I have said to them, our focus ought to be, because my reach out tells me that that's what people want, infrastructural maintenance, the drains, the illegal dump site, etc. The removal of vegetation in a timely manner. The cemetery, well, Minister Orfanali under his Community Infrastructure Improvement Program is doing that and doing some amount of drainage work too. And we wanted also that social services be a focus. Support social services. And so I thought that an NDC making a contribution to a school, perhaps rewarding excellent performance with some trophies, some books, etc., will not only sell the NDC, but will create a greater impact on what it is you do. I said to them, fixing a bridge, a school bridge, that may not require significant capital outlay, but the pupils there must know that it is the NDC helped to fix that, or actually fixed it. So you must not confine yourself to just dealing in garbage, though I want significant work there, drainage, vegetation, etc., but in the social sphere also. And so we discussed that. I told them that employment costs, yes, we will reward workers, and we got cabinet approved, giving them a 5% also, because if we want to attract quality labor, we have to give something more, and that has been one of our problems. On the one hand, we are saying, and the people are saying, oh, get us better qualified people to be overseers, etc. But I want to compliment those overseers who have been there for many years. They may not have the diploma at the university, they may not have the degree, they may not even have the CXCs. But what they have is commitment, dedication, and they work. But on the whole, we want to attract young people. They have their CXCs, but the salaries are not very attractive to some of them. And so we are looking for ways and means by which we can upgrade that to get a better quality of staff. But again, I must um, also say that we do have good workers within the NDCs. The limitation might be the financial resources, the capital resources, um, but they do have people who work. So the focus this year is on the environment, health, the health of people, what you can do to ensure that the health and safety of our people is protected.
Okay. And my wrap-up question would be, what will be the focus of your ministry this year to ensure that these NDCs and RDC deliver in the expected fashion that you just described?
Yes, well, I tell you this, Stacey, since 2013, the latter half of 2013, we started to work to build capacity at our ministry. Our ministry has as its focus guiding the work, advising the local organs. And if we are to do that, we have to have the human resources competent enough to do it. And so we have engaged, we have set up a local government department that is staffed mostly by graduates of our University of Guyana. They are local government officers. Each region has a local government officer who has responsibility for that region. Where the region only has, like Linden has only one NDC, that's Kokwani, and Bartica, that officer has more than one region for which he or she is responsible. So we're building capacity there. We're doing it in the municipal department too. Good. Presently we have two officers. Within a couple of weeks we'll have a third responsible for the 6 municipalities. We have 5 senior regional development officer, and we have 4 regional development officers. They're responsible for different regions. We are also setting up an audit department. We have got a permission, approval to recruit 2 such officers, and the whole reason behind that is to examine systems, ensure they're working. If they're not adequate, see how we can improve on them, and going out there and checking for accountability with respect to resources collected and resources used. We are also looking to engage the services of an attorney of law, because the number of cases requiring litigation, requiring us to advise, has increased. Presently, we depend heavily on our ministerial advisor, Mr. Collymore, his years of experience. And our Attorney General, Mr. Nandilal, has been availing us of the services, 1 or 2 of his lawyers as the need arises. And so we are looking to build capacity there. We have acquired the services of 2 civil engineers. Young men came back from Cuba, qualified, they are working with us at the ministry. So in short, we are building capacity, strengthening what we have in terms of human resources, and sending them out there to visit the NDCs. They have to prepare a schedule of visits, program of work, going out there and providing guidance. And may I say also, we are insisting that certain reports which we require of the NDC, that these reports come to us. That will be financial reports, very, very important. We are asking also for minutes of your statutory meeting, because whereas we can't attend all, the minutes gives us an idea of what are the issues, how things are proceeding, and how we can help. And as I said, we want our officers, including the minister, reaching out more and more with greater frequency to a wider number of these NDCs, town councils, and RDCs.
Okay.
So focus on 2015 is on reaching out there to see what is happening in terms of implementation of plans in implementation of budget plans and proposals, providing the necessary guidance, etc. And a very important area too, we have asked them to focus on getting in revenue. Okay? Yes.
All right then. Well, I must say thank you very much, Minister Whitaker, for joining us on Political Scope, where we discussed the contributions of local democratic organs. I do look forward to another program with you where we could discuss more in depth some of these issues. Thank you very much.
And let me say thank you too.
Okay. And thank you very much, viewers, for joining us on Political Scope. My name is Stacey Carmichael James, and with me today was the Honorable Minister of Local Government and Regional Development, Norman Whitaker. Do join us again. Goodbye.